You are looking live at brutally cold Giants Stadium in the Meadowlands. The wind chill today, 10 below zero. The Giants, who are just a victory away from wrapping up a playoff berth, host the 1-13 Cowboys. This will be the Giants' third straight bad weather game, and quarterback Phil Simms, who has blown hot and cold this season, burned the Broncos in a blizzard 6 days ago. The key play, a screen pass. The rookie Dave Meggett turned into a 57-yard score, and from there, the Giants' momentum snowballed. Now, Dallas also would turn to a rookie to make things happen, quarterback Troy Aikman, as they look to salvage their season with an upset here today.
The Giants beat the Broncos with good reasons. Scary reasons, that is. I spent some time with the Giants' less-than-famous linebacker as he relived the big hit that capped their goal line stand.
This week, I took a poll of the coaches in the American Football Conference to find out who they feel are really the outstanding performers this season. I'll have the results.
Herschel Walker started the season with the rebuilding Cowboys, but he can end it in the playoffs if his Vikings beat the Browns tomorrow. We'll talk with Herschel about the questions some have raised concerning his effectiveness this year. All that and more coming up on the NFL Today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Week 15 on the NFL Today. Let's take a quick look at the playoff picture with only 28 games left to play in the league. There are 160 possible scenarios in the AFC and only 15 in the NFC. In both conferences, only the West has been won. Denver and San Francisco are in. In fact, they're the only two teams in the playoffs. Now, the Broncos need one victory to wrap up the home field advantage. They'll get that chance later today in Phoenix. The Niners captured it Monday night. Now, the following four teams need one more win, and they are in. Houston, Minnesota, the Giants, and Philadelphia. Only the Giants are home this weekend. These teams also control their own destiny, but their magic number is 2. Buffalo, Miami, the Raiders, and the Rams. And rounding out the contenders, these 8 need help. Cleveland, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, and Seattle in the AFC, Green Bay, and Washington in the NFC. Now, the Giants have not been in the playoffs since winning the Super Bowl 3 years ago. They can end that drought today over at the Meadowlands by cutting down the Cowboys. There to call the action, Vern Lundquist and Terry Bradshaw. Let's check in with them. And gentlemen, how cold is it, Vern?
You know what, Brent? It's a case of relativity, I guess. It's not as bad as it could have been. It's a little chilly, but we do have sun, we don't have snow, and we thought we were going to have 6 to 8 inches of snow tonight. This morning, as a matter of fact, here's the field right now, and you can see that it's cleared. But this morning, they had to clear the tarp, and there was an accumulation of snow. And interesting, not a confrontation, but a disagreement between Bill Parcells, the coach, and the stadium maintenance crew. Parcells wanted the tarp laid down. The maintenance crew said, let's not do that. The tarp will freeze. We'll have trouble getting the snow off. They did have trouble getting the snow off, but it's gone now, and hopefully there'll be no snowballs thrown. The more important thing, Terry Bradshaw, is the status of quarterback Phil Simms. I know you talked with him about an hour ago. He was not feeling good yesterday.
No, he wasn't, Vern. He came to practice, was complaining about feeling dizzy. And so he practiced and he left and went home, and didn't even go to the hotel last night. He stayed home with his kids, and Lawrence Taylor was giving him the business down in the locker room before the game, and he was accusing him of dogging it, not going to the stadium. He says, yeah, I wanted to stay home with 3 screaming kids, but he said he feels fine, a little tired, but he said he feels fine. The injuries, you know, are something that the Giants are concerned about. Taylor's situation is just right up to game time. They're going to make a decision as to whether or not he starts when they went back into the locker room. One guy they're really concerned about is John Elliott, left tackle, and they're hoping. They've told him, we might need 2 quarters out of you today. Somehow, can you give it to us? He has a lower back problem, and that's kind of up in the air.
Brett, you were asking how bad it is here. Check this out. It's bad here, but it's worse in Texas. The vagaries of winter weather. It's 12 degrees with a wind chill factor below 0 on the plains of the Red River down in Big D. Right now, let's go back to Brent.
All right, Vern, thank you. And, you know, Irv, this is a big one for the Giants because the Eagles, they don't have a pushover down in New Orleans Monday night.
Oh, not at all. Of course, also the Giants don't want to get in the spot where they have identical records with the Eagles because they have the tiebreaker edge there. But, you know, I wonder if Phil Simms might have the flu or something. They have flu bugs going around now, Brent, and a lot of players are having difficulty making it on Sunday afternoons because they're down under the weather.
Exactly. Irv, the Vikings and the Browns play tomorrow in Cleveland's Dog Pound. And the Browns need a win to keep their AFC Central Division title or wild card hopes alive. The Vikes can clinch the NFC Central with a win or a Green Bay loss. Now, earlier today, I spoke with Minnesota running back Herschel Walker, and I asked Herschel if he'll play tomorrow with that dislocated big toe on his left foot.
Yes, I will be playing. There may be a little bit of soreness, but I played with injuries before, and I don't think this here is a real big injury. You know, even though it's, you know, it's to one of your feet, but one of your feet, it really doesn't matter that much.
Herschel, let me ask you about your role with the Minnesota Vikings. Are you pleased what you've accomplished so far? I know there has been some criticism in the media of offensive coordinator Bob Schnelker. Your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think there's always going to be criticism no matter what happened. One thing you can't do is try to please everyone in America. One thing that this team is doing is we're winning right now. We're moving the ball. We're doing the things it takes to win. You know, I think people expect a little bit more out of this team, and there's no doubt we in the organization expect more. We think we can play better, and even though we've played some good games, but we do see that we can improve. But you know, we continue to say that we are a family, and we're going to continue to go out there and work hard.
Finally, the real inside. Mike Tyson says he wants you any place, anytime. Are you serious about stepping into the ring with Iron Mike?
Well, anything I say, I'm serious about it. I think one thing people do not realize about Herschel is I prepare myself for just about anything. You know, I don't walk and then talk later. If I'm going to say something, I'm going to do it. And, you know, if he want to do it, I think it'll be something fun. I enjoy doing it.
Are you listening, Don King? Herschel Walker is one of the great capitalists in America. Now, the Browns' hopes tomorrow are riding on what is apparently the injured right arm of quarterback Bernie Kosar. More specifically, the injured right elbow. Now, he first injured himself back on November 12th against the Seahawks on plays like this one. Then he re-injured the elbow the following week against the Chiefs. And Irv spoke with him this week.
The elbow is, it isn't at 100%, and there's been some swelling in it that's been hard to get out of the elbow. And the main problem's coming when the elbow doesn't really go out to full extension right now, and it's affecting me some. But as far as career-ending injury, I don't think we're at that magnitude yet.
Irv, what was your feeling when you were in Cleveland about the quarterback situation?
Well, the fans aren't too sure whether they want Kosar or Pagel to start. One of the local newspapers took a poll there, and they said they were 50-50 on who the starter ought to be. But Kosar is going to start tomorrow. He has a bad elbow, but it's nothing that's going to affect him to the point where he's going to be out of the game.
All right, Irv, when we come back now, Dick Butkus will count the reasons the Giants' defense is standing tall these days when the NFL Today continues live on CBS.
The NFL Today is sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Emerson Radio Corporation, Emerson, fine-tune your life. And by True Value Hardware, your store of first choice.
You spent some time with the latest defensive hero on that time, Gary Reasons. I guess it's Reasons greetings from the Giants right now.
That's right. You know, the Giants had a big game last week against the Broncos, and Gary Reasons made the biggest play of his career. On offense, players fantasize about spectacular game-winning touchdowns. What do linebackers dream about? This.
Fourth down at the goal line. About a foot to go. Elway wants the crowd to be quiet. He's having trouble. I don't think his men hear the signal. Elway, hands off. They dive. Stop! Gary Reasons.
Great play by Gary Reasons. Threw his body right at Humphrey and crumbled him. Absolutely crumbled him.
That's a dream. That's the way you want to play it. That's the way you look forward to it. Everybody wants a hit like that. And I'm telling you, Gary got a great one, and the whole team just went crazy.
I know when I saw the play, you know, I had to run to the bathroom real quick because my pants were really getting wet. In midair, getting a solid lick on somebody and just knocking them back. That Gary Reasons stop on the goal line on Bobby Humphrey will be a classic play in the NFL for years to come.
The hit. Show me what happened.
Okay, our defense is in a little charge here, inside pinch charge. And the fullback leads through. Their guard pulls around to influence out of here. Steve comes through, takes on the fullback. I cheat up, dive over. Elway turns, hands the ball to Humphrey. Dive through, collision, you know, big hit. The ear pad flies out. We get up, stop them on 4th and 1 at the goal, and we're out of there.
Reasons and Humphrey start the play 15 yards apart. With the snap, Reasons guesses where the hole is. He commits and dives first. Now, if Humphrey can react, Reasons misses badly, and this flying ear pad stays in the helmet.
If he's able to get out of the way, I'll be eating grass, and that's and out in Denver, I'd be having a little bit of snow as well, so it would have been a good situation, but it timed out real well. He had the ball. I did beat him to the punch, and he didn't even have a chance to get out of his tracks.
It's Reasons who's been left in the tracks of the more famous Giant linebackers. They play in Pro Bowls and make commercials. But on the field, Gary Reasons has built a solid reputation.
He would probably be considered a Bronco truck, whereas Lawrence and Carl are like Lamborghinis and Ferraris.
Last Sunday, one of the Ferraris came up with a flat tire and saw the big hit from a different perspective.
It was funny how, sitting from the sideline, you see that big old hole open, and you said, oh my God, he's going to score. And all of a sudden, you see Gary come flying through there, and the guy almost breaks his legs falling backwards, you know? So it's a play that somebody had to make it, and Gary Reason made it, and we're thankful for it.
It's nice, but in the same token, I have to look forward. I can't look behind. I can't rest on this. It's what have you done for me lately? What are you going to do for me today? And I want to go out there and play well, make some more hits, make some more plays, get us into the playoffs, get going towards the Super Bowl, the whole bit. I'm all for that.
Now, that was a great play, one play in one game, but in talking to Coach Parcells, I said, could this be the biggest play of the year? And he says, up until this point, it is. Sometimes one play like that can turn your year around, and you'll always remember that play.
You know, Dick, you see plays like that this time of the year when teams get that playoff fever bent about them. You know, they sell themselves out, and the big plays have developed.
Hey, Dick, did you ever jump at somebody and miss?
Yeah. There's so much luck involved in that hit. And Gary said that. Hey, it was a little lucky, but, you know, I'll take it.
Will, you've spent the week talking to the 14 head coaches around the league, and certainly in the AFC, the 14. You came up with your yearly coaches poll, and at least one coach surprised us.
We already voted for Coach of the Year. I voted for Chuck Knoll of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I voted for him for Coach of the Year. I doubt that he voted for me, but isn't it nice that I think that much of him?
Let's see if anybody else voted for, yeah, 2 other votes for Coach Knoll there.
Well, Jerry was funny, you know, when he called and he says, make sure you spell it with a K. Want people to realize they got a little rivalry going on for the last few years.
Oh, we haven't noticed.
But, you know, what we did, Brent, is we actually talked to the 28 coaches, and we'll have the exciting finish to this poll tomorrow and when we bring out the NFC team. But this is the AFC today. And asked them to do this, okay? Vote for the Coach of the Year in your conference, the best offensive player, defensive player, and rookie. But you can't vote for anybody on your own team. And let's go right to the Offensive Player of the Year is Christian Okoye. Marty Schottenheimer was the Defensive Coach of the Year. When we went over to the Defensive Player of the Year, it was really scrambled in the AFC. The whole AFC was a scramble. Michael Dean Perry, the refrigerator's kid brother, got the big vote. And, of course, the Rookie of the Year really wasn't a surprise. Derek Thomas of Kansas City, he got votes both as the defensive player and the rookie. So what it showed, I think, in the poll is how the coaches in the league feel about Kansas City, how Kansas City is coming on to be a terrific team.
You know, you mentioned scramble. And, Irv, I think one of the reasons why it's such a scramble is the fact there's not a dominant team in the AFC.
Well, they're all pretty well balanced, Brent, true enough. But, you know, when I look at that poll, I sort of lean towards the Raiders, too, as a team that did a pretty good job. Art Sherrill out there did a fantastic job with that club.
What a tremendous surprise.
Well, come on, look, they were 1-3 when he took over the team. They wound up going 7-3 as the head coach.
What about the leaders of the AFC West with Denver and Dan Reeves? I mean, he changed his defense, took Joe Collier out, brought in Wade Phillips, took a chance with this guy that had a bad foot from Alabama, Bobby Humphrey. They needed a running back. I mean, Elway took them to Super Bowls and they lost. And overall, I think he did a great job. He stepped out there.
All it means, I guess, is a lot of coaches did a darn good coaching job. You know, Chuck Knoll, you know, we didn't see anything about Shula in that poll. Tremendous job bringing those Dolphins back.
Okay, when we continue now, we're going to have more from Will. We'll get his inside scoop from around the league on the NFL Today, live here on CBS. One very interested spectator over at the Meadowlands, former Cowboy coach Tom Landry. The first time he has seen his old team play in person since he was fired in February after 29 years as head coach. And Will, the other tenant of the Meadowlands, the New York Jets, they're out going to play the Rams tomorrow. What about Dick Steinberg? Is he going to leave the Patriots and come on now as GM?
I think he will, Brent, and I think all the people that know Dick, both in the Patriot organization and his friends around the league, feel that he will leave the Patriots and become the general manager of the Jets. He did talk with Leon Hess, the owner of the Jets, yesterday. My understanding is that Mr. Hess said, listen, you can come in and run the football program, take that over. They made him a heck of a contract offer, and I really think that maybe sometime next week or maybe the week after that Dick will be the general manager of the Jets.
Well, was Bobby Beathard offered that job?
Oh, yeah, he was offered that job, Brent. From what I understand from his friends and people that really know that this all started a month ago when we said in the show one day that the Jets called up and asked permission of Marv Demoff, Bobby's agent, to talk to Bobby. And from what I hear, they talked for about 3 weeks, and finally Leon Hess said, hey, wait a second, Bobby, you got to make a decision here. You got a week. And Bobby just decided that, no, he didn't want the Jets job. But everybody that knows him, I think, in the league feels that he's going to end up in San Diego when the year's over and become the general manager of the Chargers.
Mr. Hess is always so loyal. Does Joe Walton stay, or does he go with the new GM?
No, I don't think that Dick Steinberg would go to any situation. This is sort of like a dream job. You know, he's done everything as a personnel director. Now he's stepping up where he couldn't pick his own coach. So I think he's going to go in there if he takes the job, which I think he will, and just bring in his own people and start on the first page.
Will, another franchise. When the Buffalo Bills have a bad game, they know who to blame. Each other, and in public. The latest episode in this finger-pointing saga came last Saturday on a local cable television show. Listen to what running back Thurman Thomas had to say.
What, if any, are the weak points of the team, and where would they need improvement?
Weak points on the team. What are they?
Quarterback. I said some things I probably shouldn't have said, and I'm sorry about that this past week. But both Jim and I think all the rest of our teammates would like to put this behind us and get on with the job at hand, and that's making the playoffs.
In any sport, there are times of happiness and times of frustration. Unfortunately, during some moments of frustration we all made statements which were construed as being critical of certain players and teammates. I'm sorry that it happened, I really am.
There are some issues with the Buffalo Bills that we really should cover.
You read that really well, Brent, I'm telling you. Now, the background to this is, you know, for almost a year, it started about a year ago this time, there have been people in Buffalo on the team, players are all critical of one another in public. And it reached a head this last week. And I know the background of that statement is that morning, that was done on Thursday, Ralph Wilson, the owner, called up and told Marv Levy, the coach, you get those players together in the locker room today. You give them this for me, okay? Tell them to keep their mouth shut. They're making us look bad in front of the whole country. And if they don't, we're going to give them the maximum fine. So I don't think they're going to do a lot of talking the rest of the year.
Later today, Denver at Phoenix. What about John Elway in this one, Will?
Well, you know, John Elway's been a little bit off this year, Brent. And finally this week he said he's had a cracked rib since, I guess, the beginning of November, but is starting to feel better. So he could pick it up, and the offense could get better for Denver.
His guru, Mike Shanahan, going to Kentucky?
Mike Shanahan has the Kentucky job if he wants it. My understanding is when the game's over in Phoenix, he's going to sit down with the owner and with Dan Reeves and said, listen, let's talk about this and probably come out of it and go to Kentucky as the head coach.
All right, Will, thank you. We're going to continue live with the NFL Today on CBS in just a moment. The Giants are favored by 12. Who do you like?
Well, I was going to ask you if it was with the points. You know, I like the Giants. I think Aikman will struggle in the cold weather, not used to it.
I think the Giants because they've had 3 games in cold weather, and it takes a little strategy when you play in cold weather.
I like the Giants for basically the same reasons, but Bill Parcells said, hey, we've come too far to give it up now, guys.
Unanimous. We'll see you at halftime. Everybody, enjoy the day.
Where are you?
Boy, owner Jerry Jones never dreamed '89 would be so bad. He recruited one of college's greats, known for winning. But all that followed were losses. 13 in all. A season everyone would like to forget. Coming off 2 straight losses, last Sunday the Giants were determined not to slip again. Running through a snowstorm, their offense regained early season form and kept their playoff hopes alive. And even with Lawrence Taylor sidelined, the Giants still had plenty of reasons to believe in their defense.
The last time the Cowboys were this bad, their only high spot was tying the Giants. And today they hope to keep the Giants out of the playoff at least for a week.
From Giants Stadium, it's Saturday afternoon football in the National Football League. The New York Giants are at home today to their division rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. The Giants come in tied for the division lead with the Philadelphia Eagles, and Philadelphia, of course, plays on Monday night at New Orleans. The Cowboys dead last in the NFL with a 1-13 mark. It is cold, but not as bad as it was a couple of weeks ago when the Giants were at home against Philadelphia. Temperature at game time is 23 degrees. Wind out of the north at 15 to 20 miles per hour, and possibility of snow flurries later this afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brent Lundquist, and welcome to Giant Stadium. The task for the Giants is quite simple. If they win today, they're in the playoffs. For the Cowboys at 1-13, it's quite simple as well. They can't wait for this year to be over, and they're looking forward to 1990. My partner is Terry Bradshaw. Terry, obviously New York should win the game. How has Bill Parcells approached getting his team ready for this?
Well, I wish Bill was probably as confident as you are, vice versa. Bill Parcells this week has driven his football team as hard as he has all year. And talking to the players, that's what they are all saying. He is scared to death that what happened to them in their closing game last year against the Jets, which if the Giants had won that game, they would have made the playoffs. He's worried that that same type of attitude prevails on his team coming into a Cowboy game that everyone says should win. So he's driven that home very hard this week, worked him extremely hard because he does not want to repeat performance of the Jet game last year.
It looks nice, but it's not. It's quite cold here, and the field is frozen, as a matter of fact. Now, given those atmospheric conditions, can special teams play an important role today?
Oh, Vern, I think you're absolutely correct. The real thing I'm concerned about today is the kicking game, and as this field thaws out, moisture will build up. The punters will be slower in planting their punting foot. The kickers will be slower in planting the support foot for the kick. Therefore, they will be slower, so there's a possibility today of blocked punts and kicks. Kickoff teams, too, are going to have to stay in their lanes and not be too aggressive for fear that the punt return and kickoff return teams have the advantage and go all the way.
All right, Terry, and right off the bat, we see the effect of the conditions because the Cowboys won the toss, but they have elected to take the wind at their back. So the Giants will receive. Luis